Rebel, or I'll change the name. You're watching Rebel Studio with Nathan Ball. You do have a right to travel in a conveyance. That's what your car, your truck is. It's a conveyance. You know, it's a tool. You're a private owner. You're not working in commercial jobs. You're not going out on the highway to make money, to get money, or to, make money from your job to, take and move something from one place to another and do work. If you're not doing any of that, you're just going to a job and you're staying there and you're doing your job there at the building, and you don't go anywhere. You do not have a right. You do not have to have a driver's license, insurance, register. You do not have to register your vehicle. None of that. It's yours. You bought it. They didn't give it to you. You didn't sign anything that says you have to get all this stuff, no matter what. As long as our Constitution is there, our Bill of Rights, and they have to be there. They can't be taken away. They're our God-given rights. Man, this is not granted to us by man. This is granted to us by God. Man is the only ones that can give and to us and take from us. But I'm gonna play some of it. You want to watch the whole thing? Go to his channel, OlddogsNewTricks. That's his channel. But I'm gonna let you see the gist of it.
I already did a video on the second letter that I sent to DMV on right to travel and to specifically, with their own form, unregister my automobile because I am not a commercial driver and I am not required to have a license plate on my car, registration for my car, a driver's license for traveling in my car, or forced insurance. This is a fact that is in the law itself. It is in their own definitions, in the traffic code, in the transportation code, in all of their paperwork. The Supreme Court has ruled on it. 200 years of case law, and all states across the United States all have right to travel in their case law and court rulings. What they're doing is they get you into their little kangaroo courts and try to screw you over there. If you're successful in not allowing that to happen, and you can actually get to the Supreme Court, that's when you can make some real change. But they will do everything they can to keep you from ever taking right to travel anywhere farther than their stupid little courts, because they're just there to get money out of you. That's all they're doing. So
yeah, they're nothing but revenue generators. The judge, the cops, the sheriffs, all of them. They're nothing but revenue generators. They go out to write tickets, take people to jail. You know how the jails in the city and the states make money off of people who go to jail? Well, the government gives the state money to give the cities of that state money to give the jails of those cities and the state money. And you know what? They don't take all that money and feed you right. Feed you healthy, organic, non-GMO foods. They'll feed you whatever's cheapest, but good enough. They don't worry about your health. unless you got like a medical problem, and they have to. They got to take you to the hospital. They got to pay for it, and that comes out of that money. But if you don't have any health problems, they're making money off of you. Every one of them. So the lawyers, the prosecutors, all making money. It's a racket. Unless you can find someone who do this thing pro bono, meaning no money up front. If you don't win your case, you're going home. But if you win, they get money. And they'll get quite a bit. But this is about your right to travel. Everybody has this right that's not working for a commercial business, going out, delivering things, delivering goods. If you're like a carpet layer and you work for for any company to make money, you're commercial. You're driving out on the highway, taking goods to a place, putting it in the house. You're working for that money out on the highway. So you're commercial, and so you have to have all this stuff. I got one vehicle. That's what they call it, motor vehicle, automobile, not an automobile, not a conveyance. And I install carpet. I go out on the highways. I go out of town. So I'm a commercial. That's a commercial vehicle. But my car, any other automobile that I buy, I don't have to have a driver's license and all that for it. Only for my commercially used vehicle. So I'm going to get to this.
The point here is to not end up in their little kangaroo courts, because first of all, what do you have to do with their corporation? That's a corporation. You're not contracted with them. They can't prove that you signed or rather, with a meeting of the minds that you knew that you were becoming a subservient to their jurisdiction, or even a part.
One other thing, they get people as when you're a teenager, because they tell you all this stuff. You don't learn this from your parents. If your parents teach you any of it, it's the same thing they tell you, because they were told the same thing when they were kids. It got to you when you're kids. When you want to drive before you're 18, you get a hardship license. That you have to get, if you're driving on the roads under the age of 18. But once you turn 18, you do not need a driver's license unless you're getting into commercial businesses, driving trucks, driving, big vehicles, or using your own personal automobile as a vehicle on the highways to make money.
Part of their jurisdiction. So, and they know this. There's nothing they can do other than try to trick you into being a compliant little slave to their system of greed and corruption and terrorism and mass murder, and on the list goes. So
I just want to say he said that part. But I ain't saying whether I agree or not agree.
I rambled again. I always ramble. I'm sorry. So this is, when I did that last video on my second letter to DMV, I, of course, went to read it over again and started making changes and some additions. So I didn't actually send it then, as I said I was. I did actually send it yesterday. You see the date up here on the top of the screen. First letter was sent January 2nd. I got their response back from that letter 6 weeks later. It took them a month and a half to respond to my, I think it was 8 or 9 page document on right to travel with evidence. I did a video on that letter. And they responded with asking me to write in their little area highlighted on their form in the statement of facts, which I showed you in that last video. They wanted to know when I took my car out of California to Seattle, Washington. So I realized that I hadn't addressed the whole intent for that statement of fact, so I had to add something to this, and I came across some new information, which I'm going to share with you. There's some very good information in this letter, which, by the way, for you all, I have put here. That's something else. We'll get to that in a minute. I'll give a link to my letter, which I've taken out my name, my VIN numbers, anything personal relating to me. I've taken it out because this is got a lot of information on it, which I'm going to go over with you right now, the additions to my letter that I found. So how I number my document is just my own system. I put my VIN number here, which ends with a 4, and DMV-2. This is my second letter, so I do a 2. That's my numbering system on my correspondence with them to keep track of everything. And of course, I sent it certified mail, so they have to sign for it, and I will get a return receipt showing me that they did get my letter, in case they never respond. So I'll try to find the additions to this letter without reading the entire thing again, because it is 9 pages long. So I wrote here at the top, second request for confirmation that my private non-commercial automobile is unregistered, that the driver's license I was defrauded into applying for was voided, and with an additional request for information and or an application for acquiring exempt plates for my private conveyance as is required of you under 188 California 734-207, page 251, 1922, Cal Lexus 477. And this is new information that I found, which was quite eye-opening. I will thank you in advance for reading this letter in its entirety. So I wanted to put this at the top so they understood exactly what this letter is about and what I'm expecting, and what they're obligated to do, which is supply me with an exempt plate. Now let's get to that right now before I continue with the letter. I keep doing that. This is very good information here. Now, this is on Scribed, and usually they only give you part of a document, and then you have to pay and subscribe to get the whole thing, which I won't do, because you can find this information somewhere else. But for some reason, this entire thing is here, and it's not a full 5 pages. So this is the Marin Municipal Water District versus Charles Chenu. This is Supreme Court of California, May 16th, 1922. Apparently back then, a water truck would go around delivering water. It was non-profit. In other words, it was not a commercial vehicle. It was not making money on the roadways. Therefore, they ruled that, and I'll read some of this here, they ruled that he should be given exempt plates. Let's see here. Let me try to read some of this fast. The plaintiff applies to this court for a writ of mandate directing the defendant as chief of the Division of Motor Vehicles of the Department of Finance of the State of California to issue to the plaintiff certain license plates with the accompanying certificates, such license plates to be attached to certain automobiles owned by the plaintiff as acquired by the Motor Vehicle Act. This is in their own Motor Vehicle Act. The plaintiff is a municipal water district organized under the Act of May 11, 1911, and amendments thereto. I want to make sure I was reading the right area. Excuse me, good grief, when I start talking. By the Act of April 6, 1915, the organization of said district was declared valid, and it was described to be duly created as a public corporation. The plaintiff has construed and completed a large water collecting, storing, and distributing system and is operating the name in accordance with said act by collecting, selling, and distributing water to the inhabitants of the district and others. In carrying out its public duties and obligations under the act as required, it is necessary for it to use 13 motor vehicles, all of which are used exclusively by it in the discharge of its public duties. It applied to the defendant for the necessary licenses, certificates, and license plates as required by the Motor Vehicle Act from persons operating and owning motor vehicles. So all of these are commercial terms, remember. Operating is commercial. Motor vehicle is a commercial vehicle. The defendant refused to issue the licenses, certificates, or plates except upon the payment of the license fees prescribed by the Motor Vehicle Act, whereupon the plaintiff began this proceeding in mandamus. So, Section 3 of the Motor Vehicle Act provides that every owner of a motor vehicle which shall be operated or driven upon the public highways shall cause the same to be registered with the Motor Vehicle Department and shall deposit with his application for a certificate the proper registration fee as provided in Section 7 of this Act. It is conceded that the amount demanded by the defendant was the proper amount for the vehicles belonging to the plaintiff, etc., etc., etc. I don't want to bore you with all of this. So they're talking about where the money goes, and then we go up here. Okay, so the claim of the plaintiff, I'm reading right here, is that it is a public corporation, municipal in character, established and organized for the purpose of carrying on within the district the public service of furnishing water to the public, that it is a state agency for that purpose, and that under the well-established rule that words in a statute providing for the payment of fees or imposing burdens on property, which is what all of your registration fees and taxes and the fees you pay for your license and registration and license plates and forced insurance are burdens on your private property.
Well, I'm going to leave it at that. Like I showed you, you want to watch all the rest of it. It's 45-minute long or 41-minute long video on it. Write down everything you see. You can pause it and write it down and get what you need. If you want to get to where you don't want to have a driver's license, pay all these people money, give your money away. You have more money in your pocket every month when you don't have, insurance to worry about. More money in your pocket. And more money in your pocket, every year when you gotta have your tags renewed. That's just money. Generate money. All that's nothing but to generate money. If it's in our Bill of Rights, that it is a right that we have to have it. It's supposed to be free. There's a guy, he was delivering water for free, giving people free water. And so, since he wasn't making any money, he didn't have to have tags and all that stuff. He just had to have plates that says exempt. And then police sees that tag on your truck, that license plate on your vehicle, or your conveyance. They have to just leave you alone unless you're doing something illegal or wrong in front of them. When it comes to your vehicle, it's null and voided in any traffic stops or whatever, period. They are to leave you alone. And that's the way it's supposed to be. They're supposed to leave us alone. Bother the people that's, making money on the highways, leave the rest of us alone. Quit generating money and do your real job. That's what they're supposed to do. Their real job, getting real criminals, being out there fighting real criminals instead of being sitting there at a car over a traffic violation. Traffic violations are not laws. They try to make us think that they're laws. They're not. They're violations, of the roads, which are public roads. They belong to us. So we should be able to travel on them roads, period, You know, no matter how fast we want or whatever. If we're driving too reckless, that's not driving. Driving fast is not driving reckless. Driving reckless is being all over the road, weaving from one line over to the other, you know, or crossing them. That's reckless driving. But if you're going along, even if you're going 100 miles an hour and you're not doing any of that, then you should be left alone. You know, you're not hurting anyone. But in all this, you know, people gonna bring up, well, what if he gets in a wreck and kills them? Well, nowadays a lot of people die in wrecks, you know, because we go 70, 75, 80, 85 miles an hour down the highway anyways. And all you want to be able to drive faster anyways. You know, they raise that speed limit sign up. What do? You drive that speed, 80 miles an hour. So there's nothing you can say. You know, everybody is in a hurry and needs to get to where they need to get to as fast as possible. You know, hell, we could be driving our wife who's in labor or girlfriend, whatever, that's in labor to the hospital. We need to get there as fast as possible. We should be able to get there as fast as we can without being bothered by the cops. You know, maybe they're in a hurry to the hospital, you know. Want to have a baby. Leave them alone. Let them get there. You know, or come around and maybe find out what's going on while we're driving and then help us out. Get there faster. Be in front of us with your lights on. Help us get through them lights. You know, be more about morals, not about money. You know, people need to get away from being about money. Money is important, but it is not that important. So I got off on other things, but yeah, if you want to watch this video, you go to OlddogsNewTricks. You know, go to his channel and finish watching the movie or video, not movie. It's 41 minutes. You know, so this is Nathan Ball with Rebel Studio. You all take care.